Hello, and welcome to Miss Hope's Reading Hour on this fabulous Friday. It is Friday. So glad to be with you all on this fabulous, um, in Philadelphia at least, and what I've heard from some of my friends in Florida, kind of a cold Friday. It's quite chilly, my friends, in some parts of these United States. But it is still a fabulous Friday. School is out for the weekend. We are done with virtual learning for today and for this week. And so we are done. No more pencils, no more books until Monday. So hopefully your week of virtual learning or hybrid learning or in-person learning was great this week. I know a lot of schools, even my school, are starting their holiday season spirit weeks. Yes. So some people are having like crazy hat days, dress like Santa Day, pajama days, all that great stuff. So we are gearing up for the Christmas, New Year's, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah season. And we're having spirit weeks for all that stuff. So hopefully you are having fun with your classes and doing some very interesting things before the end of the year in school, not the school year, but the end of this year. I know in my school, we are trying to plan kind of like a virtual Christmas pageant where classes are doing different performances online. So, of course, it'll be fabulous. Like we always have really good shows at my school. But I digress. We are still in, my friends, the 12 days of donations. We are in the 12 days of donations. And if you look up here in the corner and down here in the ticker, you see that we are on day 4. And on day 4, our organization that we are hoping that you all will donate to is Feeding America. Feeding America. You may have seen their commercial on TV. I have seen it on TV. And in looking for organizations to help to donate to, even though there are thousands of organizations to donate to, we only got 12 days, people. Only got 12. So there will be other times throughout the year that we will have donation time for other organizations, but we're just picking 12 this time. And if you know of an organization that works to help people who are dealing with hunger and food insecurity, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, put that organization into the chat of this broadcast. Also, if you see the Miss Hope's Reading Hour Fabulous Friday broadcast later, please post it on our Facebook group, our Instagram page, our YouTube page, and on Periscope. Please go and do that to let us know of other organizations that we can highlight. And it doesn't matter, they can be in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, around the country, or international around the world. Because during this time, especially during the holidays, um, people are still dealing with hunger and they're dealing with food insecurity. And this is the season of giving. So, because it's the season of giving, we want to give you all an opportunity to donate to these wonderful organizations. So, I want to read a little history of Feeding America. So, for 40 years, Feeding America has responded to the hunger crisis in America by providing food to people in need through a nationwide network of food banks. The concept of food banking was developed by John Van Hengel in Phoenix, Arizona in the late 1960s. Van Hengel, a retired businessman, had been volunteering at a soup kitchen soup kitchen trying to find food to serve the hungry. One day, he met a desperate mother who regularly rummaged through grocery store garbage bins to find food for her children. She suggested that there should be a place where, instead of being thrown out, discarded food could be stored for people to pick up, similar to the way banks store money for future use. With that, an industry was born. Van Hengel established St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix, Arizona, as the nation's first food bank. In its initial year, Van Hengel and his volunteers distributed 275,000 pounds, that's a lot of food to people in need. Word of the food bank's success quickly spread, and states began to take note. By 1977, food banks had been established in 18 cities across the country. As the number of food banks began to increase, Van Hengel created a national organization of food banks, and in 1979, I was born in 1979, he established Second Harvest, which was later called America's Second Harvest, the nation's food bank network. In 2008, the network changed its name to Feeding America to better reflect the mission of the organization. Today, Feeding America is the nation's largest domestic hunger relief organization, a powerful and efficient network of 200 food banks across the country. As food insecurity rates hold steady at the highest levels ever, the Feeding America network of food banks has risen to meet the need. We feed 40 million people at risk of hunger, including 12 million children and 7 million seniors. So, can you believe that is a lot of food and a lot of people? That is what Feeding America does. So, what we need you to do, along with Miss Hope of Miss Hope's Reading Hour, we need you to donate to Feeding America to help that huge network of food banks to feed people all over this country. And again, the running theme when I am telling you the history of these organizations is that it usually started with one person. One person. So that is a lesson to you, my young ones and my older young ones. One person can make a difference. You don't need a whole big group of people. One person who has an idea to do something great can change the lives of a whole country and the whole world. My friends, Feeding America, make sure that, there you go, that you donate to Feeding America. How can you do that? Go to feedingamerica.org and donate right at the top of the page. When you go to their website, there is a rectangle that says donate right at the top. And you know, they said that $1 donated to them can feed 10 people. $1. Can you believe it? So please do go to feedingamerica.org and donate. Now, my friends, let's get to the books. So We are now at the end, the last 3 moons, I believe, of 10 moons on Turtle's Back. So we started reading this during Native American Heritage Month, which was last month. But I liked the stories of the moons so much, I wanted to finish it. And I wanted to finish it for you guys because Native Americans, they have a great respect for nature and the natural, and the moon is a part of that. So we will get to the last 3 moons, I believe, 2 or 3 moons in 13 Moons on Turtle's Back, a Native American Year of Moons by Joseph Bruchac and Jonathan London. This is a Paper Star Penguin Young Readers Group book. Now, if you saw the teaser, you saw that the piggies are taking over Miss Hope's reading hour on this fabulous Friday. So, our first book is called The Piggy in the Puddle. Words by Charlotte Pomerantz, pictures by James Marshall. And if you see that little circle right there, another Reading Rainbow book. Piggy in the Puddle. Looks like a mud puddle to me. We will be reading that book. And also, this is a book that I already read, but none of you heard it. Do you want to know why you didn't hear it? Because it was a day when Miss Hope's reading hour went for a whole hour with no sound. No sound. So, this book, A Normal Pig. Which one do you think is the normal pig? This book is by K-Fi Steele, A Normal Pig. And this is a HarperCollins children's book. And of course, my friends, we must find out more about who is stealing the 12 Days of Christmas. It's getting a little interesting now. So we have to find out what's going on with things going missing. All right, let's get to our last 2 or 3 moons. Okay, so we did the acorns, did the moose calling moon, the moon of falling leaves, the moon. Oh, the moon. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it is 3 moons. It certainly is. So, moon where deer drop their horns. 13. Yes. 3 moons left. Moon when deer drop their horns. Now is the time when all the deer must band together in the winter lodges. All autumn, the bucks fight with each other, each one seeking to prove himself stronger, each wanting to be the chief of his people. At one time, the deer kept their horns all year, but when they entered their winter lodges, the bucks continued to fight with each other. Earthmaker, seeing how the deer suffered, sent Nanabush, his helper, to loosen the horns from their foreheads in this moon of late autumn. Now, each winter, when the deer gather, just as we enter our medicine lodges, they leave their weapons outside the door. Their horns drop onto earth, white with peaceful snow. The 11th moon of the Winnebago tribe. So that is why they drop their horns, huh? Moon when wolves run together. Long ago, an old wolf came to that time when his life on earth could no longer last. My people, he said, you can follow my footsteps when the time comes for you to join me in the skyland. Then he left the earth, climbing higher and higher, and each place he stepped, the sky filled with stars. Shunk Manitou Tanka. Shunk Manitou Tanka. We call the wolves, the powerful spirits who look like dogs. When they climb the hills to lift their heads and sing toward that road of stars, their songs grow stronger as they join their voices. So in this moon, we climb the hills, lift our eyes toward the wolf trail, and remember that our lives and songs are stronger when we are together. Oh, that is such a good sentiment. That is the 12th moon of the Lakota Sioux tribe. That is a beautiful sentiment. Our lives and songs are stronger when we are together. And now the big moon. The elders say our land was shaped by Ozi-Hozo, the changer, who formed himself out of the dust which fell from Creator's hands after making the world. He pushed against the earth to rise, and great mountains rose up on either side. Then the waters flowed into the place where he stood and made Lake Champlain, the lake we call Peton Bagok, the waters between. When Oziozo travels on this earth were done, he came back to rest by the lake once again, making the circle complete. So it is that our own people of the dawn place one final moon at the end of each cycle. We call it Kichikisos, big moon. Its name is the last in our circle of seasons, 13 moons on Turtle's back. This is the 13th moon of the Abenaki tribe. The end. I love this. This is a good book for any of your young ones who are interested in Native American culture, and if they are interested in the celestial things in the sky, the moon and the stars. This is a really good book. I'm so glad I finished reading it with you all. That makes me so happy. I'm so glad I got to finish it with you guys. All right, now to our piggy books. Let's get to our piggy books. Let's get some ambiance for our piggy books. All right, our first book, The Piggy in the Puddle. Words by Charlotte Pomerantz. Pictures by James Marshall. And this is an Aladdin Paperbacks Simon & Schuster book. All right, so leaving that. See the piggy, see the puddle, see the muddy little puddle, see the piggy in the puddle of the muddy little puddle, see the piggy in the middle of the muddy little puddle. Oh, see, it's going to tongue tie me, right? See her dawdle, see her diddle in the muddy, muddy middle. See her waddle plump and little in the very merry middle. Looks like she's loving the mud. See her daddy, fuddy-duddy, fuddy-duddy, fuddy-duddy. Don't you get all muddy, 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 muddy. You are much too plump and little to be in the muddy middle. Mud is squishy, mud is squashy. Mud is oh so squishy, squashy. What you need is lots of soap. But the piggy answered, squishy, squashy, squishy, squashy. Nope. See her mommy, fiddle faddle, fiddle faddle, fiddle faddle. Get out of there, skedaddle, daddle, 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 daddle. You are much too plump and little to be in the muddy middle. Mud is mushy, mud is squishy, mud is oh so mushy, squishy. What you need is lots of soap. The piggy answered, mushy, squishy, mushy, squishy. Nope. She's like, no soap for me. See her brother, silly Billy, silly Billy, silly Billy. Do not waddle willy-nilly, willy-nilly, willy-nilly. You are much too plump and little to be in the muddy middle. Mud is oofy, mud is poofy, mud is oh so oofy poofy. What you need is lots of soap. Now, what is she going to say to brother? But the piggy answered, oofy poofy, oofy poofy. Nope. Piggy's not having the soap, people. Now they stood in a huddle right beside the muddy puddle, and they looked into the puddle. What a muddy, muddy muddle. What are we going to do with this kid in this mud? There was Piggy, plump and little, in the very merry middle. She was waddling, she was waddling, she was paddling, she was diving way down dairy. She was wiggling, she was giggling, she was very, very merry, said the mother. Little Piggy, you have made me very mad, said the father. Little Piggy, you have made me very sad. Little Piggy, said the brother, you are very, very bad, said the piggy. Squishy, squashy, mooshy, squooshy, very bad. I don't care what you say. I'm having fun. Oh dear, said Piggy's mother. What's a mother pig to do? She thought and thought and thought. And then, of course, she knew. She said, I bet my feet get wet, and jumped in too. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. See two piggies in the puddle, in the muddy little puddle. See the piggy and her mommy in the muddy little puddle. Me, oh my, said Piggy's father. What's a father pig to do? He thought, and he thought, and he thought, and he thought. And then, of course, he knew. He said, I bet my tail gets wet. And jumped in too. See three piggies in the puddle, in the muddy little puddle. See mommy and daddy and piggy in the muddy little puddle. Ooh, 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 cried Piggy's brother. Whatever shall I do? He thought, but not very long, because of course he knew. He held his nose and yelled, "Here goes!" and jumped in too. I guess if you can't beat them, you gotta join them. See four piggies in the puddle, in the muddy little puddle. See the piggies in the middle of the muddy little puddle. See them diddle, big and little, in the very merry middle. Said the daddy, mud is squishy. Mud is oh so squishy squashy. Said the mommy, mud is mushy. Mud is oh so mushy squishy. Said the brother, mud is oofy. Oh so oofy poofy. I guess they're enjoying it now. Said the piggy, squishy squashy, mushy squishy, oofy poofy. Indeed, said little piggy. I think we need some soap. But the other piggies answered, oofy poofy. Nope. No soap for us now. We're having too much fun. So they all dove way down dairy and were very, very merry. The end. Well, I guess they learned how much fun playing in the mud can be. They figured, if we can't beat this little kid, we might as well join them, right? And do you know what else you can join, my friends? You can join with other people and Miss Hope's Reading Hour by donating to Feeding America at feedingamerica.org. At the top of the first page of the website, there is a button that says donate. Every little bit helps, okay? Now let us get to our next book, A Normal Pig. A normal one by K-Fi Steele. This is a HarperCollins Bowser and Bray book. Pip was a normal pig who did normal stuff. She liked making art, cooking with her family, and thinking about what she wanted to be when she grew up. Apparently, she thought of a lot of things. She wanted to be a news reporter, a brain surgeon, a writer, an astronaut, a farmer, and a fortune teller. Look at all the things she thought that she wanted to be in the tree. That's a lot. Then one day, a new pig came to school. Ew! What are you eating? It stinks. Pip didn't know how to respond. It was just her normal lunch. The new pig was in Pip's art class too. Weren't we supposed to draw houses? But look at Pip. She had other ideas. Pip hadn't changed, but she started to feel different. Is that your babysitter? That's my mom. Which one do you think is her mom? She doesn't look like the other pigs. Look at everybody hanging out on the bus. But how do you think Pip is feeling right now? Since it seems like everything about her is so different that this new person doesn't like it. Let's see how she's feeling. When her parents asked her what was wrong, she replied, "Why can't you make me a normal lunch?" On Saturday, Pip's mother had an idea. Why don't we take a trip to the city as a family? Pip had never been there before. Wow, she'd never been to the city. Pip heard so many different languages. Look at that. I can't even read some of those languages. But many people in the city speak a lot of different languages. At the playground, all the pigs looked so different. I didn't know pigs could be so diverse. Did you? It's good to know, though. Even the food was different. Is there anything on the menu that's not so weird? Maybe it's weird for you, but not for me. I like it. How about you try some? When they got home, Pip was feeling better. "Do you want me to make you a normal lunch?" "No, thanks. I'll bring what I always eat." On Monday, Pip sat at her usual table in the cafeteria. Ew, she's back with her weird lunch. Maybe it's weird for you, but not for me. I like my lunch. Want to try it? It's good. Want to trade? You should try it. And weirdly enough, by recess, Pip felt pretty normal again. The end. That was a very good story. A normal pig. So just because she looks a little different and she eats different things, that doesn't mean that she's weird. It just means that she looks a little different and she eats different things. And that if somebody doesn't like what you're eating for lunch, maybe you could say, it's not weird for me. Would you like to try it? Would you like to have some? And you never know. If you think it's weird, maybe you'll taste it and won't think it tastes so weird. You'll actually like it and maybe want to trade. So, when people try to make you feel weird about the things that you like or your differences, let them know, hey, I like them just fine. Would you like to try this? Would you like to learn more about my culture? Would you like to learn more about why I do these things? And you never know. The people who think that it's weird, or maybe you who think that something is weird that someone else does, you might like that food. You might find that culture interesting. So, never try to make someone feel bad about their normal, okay? But you know what shouldn't be normal? One really big thing that should not be normal is that it shouldn't be normal for children or seniors or families to go to bed hungry. That is something that absolutely should never be something that's normal. If you go to bed hungry, the only reason why that should be is because you forgot to eat and you fell asleep before you got to, not because you don't have enough healthy food in your home. So, in order to make hunger and food insecurity something that is not normal for a whole lot of people, we need you to donate. We need you to look down at the ticker, get that website, feedingamerica.org, go there and donate so that people all over this country will have a new normal. And that new normal is having good, nutritious food in their homes to eat, just like everybody else. Okay? All right, my friends. Now we must get to who is stealing the 12 days of Christmas. Okay. So we were in, I think it's chapter 6. Is it chapter 6? Let's see if that's chapter 6. It's either chapter 4. Yes, chapter 6. And they're at the Jensen's house on the block where they have the yearly 12 days of Christmas lighting ceremony to light up all of the houses on the block with their 12 days of Christmas decorations. But there's a delay. And Mr. Jensen hasn't flipped the switch yet. Kids are getting restless because usually after the switch gets flipped and all the lights come on the block, the kids go down in the basement, they hang out, they have snacks, they get away from the grown-ups. But there's a delay. And Alex's mother, who is the police detective in the town, is not there yet. So, is it because there are other decorations that have gone missing? Let us find out. Find out more in Who is Stealing the 12 Days of Christmas by Martha Freeman, which is a scholastic book. All right. Hasn't anybody got anything we could use for a partridge? Miss Ryan asked. Bill tried, but every rubber ducky in town was sold out. I've got a rooster ornament on my tree, said Mrs. D'Agostino. Would that do? How big is it? Mrs. Ryan asked. Mr. Stone interrupted. Entirely inappropriate, he said. A rooster looks nothing like a partridge. Neither does a ducky, said Mrs. McNitt. And no one has ever complained. Mr. Stone said he'd been meaning to bring up the matter of the ducky. Mrs. Ryan said she didn't realize Mr. Stone was a bird authority. Mrs. Lee wanted to know if it would be all right if the rooster stood in for her missing goose. Mr. Stone said it certainly would not be all right. And what was this world coming to when people couldn't identify basic birds? My eyes followed the cup of eggnog in Mr. Stone's hand. The madder he got, the more it sloshed. Do you think he'll let somebody have it? I whispered. Yasmin nodded. I bet Mrs. Lee. She's really exasperating, my mom says. I shook my head. I say, Mrs. Ryan, look how her ears are turning pink. She's going to lose it. He's going to blast her. What if he spills on us? Jeremiah said. The last straw was the passenger pigeon, Mr. Stone said. A few drops of eggnog splashed. Yasmin and I grinned. This was it. Eggnog cream rinse. But then my dad had to come over and spoil it. Now remind me, Ted, Mr. Dad said to Mr. Stone, where was it you bought those calling birds? And of course, Mr. Stone explained how he made the calling birds. Everyone in the neighborhood knew this like they knew their own house numbers. He told the story every year. I can't believe your dad, said Yasmin. What a party pooper, I said. It's too bad your mom couldn't come, said Yasmin. Why? She's an even worse party pooper. That's not what I meant, said Yasmin. Where is she anyway? Working. Some big thing, but I don't know what yet. Bigger than missing plastic birds? Yasmin asked. I shrugged. In College Springs? Small fingers gripped my knee. I looked down. It was Toby Lee. He was learning to walk. I could see from his frown that it was hard work. First, he aimed his body. Then he tilted forward. Then he moved his legs as fast as they would go. If the legs didn't keep up with the rest of him, he pitched over onto the floor. Then Mrs. Lee would pick him up, or some other neighbor. I have seen Mr. Lee only twice in my life. Mom says he works all the time. Then she always frowns and adds, that poor woman. I gave Toby Lee my hand. Steady, bud, I said. He grinned at me. There was drool dripping off his chin. I turned him and aimed him at Mr. Jensen. Go, I said. He tilted. He ran. He was off. Billy is 5. He got a Discman for his birthday. Now the phones are permanently attached to his ears. He lives in Discman land. Just him and whatever loud, bad music a 5-year-old listens to. So, of course, he didn't notice Toby till Toby tilted into him with a bump that knocked Billy off balance. For a second, I thought Billy might stay on his feet, but he didn't. This was a shame because Billy happened to be standing next to the Christmas tree, the big, fancy white for company Christmas tree. The one with all the fragile ornaments the Jensens don't put on for kids' Christmas tree downstairs. When Toby hit him, Billy toppled over into the tree, which timber toppled over. Needles, balls, and lights shot everywhere. So did the guests. So did the drinks. My antique ornaments, Miss Jensen wailed. Bring napkins. We need a broom here. Watch out for the glass. The grown-ups tripped over each other trying to clean up. Toby Lee was fine. He had fallen onto his diaper cushioned tailbone. Now he sat in the middle of everything, laughing and clapping his hands. I bet it was a thrill to be so small and cause so much trouble. But Jeremiah said, someone's going to step on him and squash him like a bug. I thought Jeremiah might be right. So I pushed through all the grown-ups, scooped up Toby, and set him safe on the sofa next to us. In a few minutes, the tree was back in place and plugged in. Mrs. Jensen, who has long pink fingernails and always looks perfect, drank 2 quick cups of eggnog. Everybody clapped. Toby Lee loudest of all. Then the doorbell rang. When Professor Jensen answered, Luau strolled in. Would you look at that, said Yasmin. You'd think that feline received an invitation in the mail. Kai, squealed Toby Lee. Meow, key, meow. Luau put his nose in the air and sniffed. Then he headed for the dining room. Alex, Dad had just spotted Luau. I don't know, Dad. He came in when the front door opened. What did he want in the dining room, though? Toothpaste sandwiches? Oh, of course. Shrimp. I followed, but Luau was sneaky. By the time I got there, he had disappeared. Meanwhile, I could hear Professor Jensen talking to someone at the door. The voice outside said, You've got 50 people out there, John. They want the 12 days of Christmas and they want it now. I forgot about Luau for a second and pushed the drapes so I could see out the window. The first thing I noticed was a white delivery van with a cat's head painted on the side. It said Tabby Antiques and Junk, Bellburg, Pennsylvania. It had been there a couple of days. It must belong to Michael's grandparents. Then my eyes adjusted and I saw the tourists. That's what we call people who come by to see the decorations. I recognized a few. Mr. Sobel, the gym teacher, Ari's family, the man from the bank. Everybody was bundled up with steam puff breath. They were clapping their mittens to stay warm. None of them looked precisely joyful. Mrs. Jensen peered over my shoulder. Oh dear, she said, and poured herself more eggnog. Still at the front door, Professor Jensen tried to explain about the bird's disappearance. The man was not impressed. Give us 1 minute, Professor Jensen finally said. Then he came back to the people in the living room and said, I guess you caught the gist of that. Mr. Stone argued. Well, I don't care. It's our reputation. We can't light the display when half the flock is missing. Oh, fiddle, said Mrs. Ryan. 2 birds. Give the people what they want. Let's put it to a vote, said my dad. Point of order, said Mrs. Pop. Can we please get on with this, said Mrs. D'Agostino. I vote yes. Yes, shouted a lot of people. Any noes? Professor Jensen looked right at Mr. Stone. No, said Mr. Stone. No, said Jeremiah from the sofa. Professor Jensen ignored them and turned to Mrs. Pop. Anita, there ought to have been a motion and a second, she said. But given the circumstances, yes. That's it then. The lights go on, said Professor Jensen. Luau picked this moment to come out from under the dining room table. Meow. He side rubbed Michael's grandmother's leg. She had just put a shrimp into her mouth. Its tail hung between her lips. Gross if you're a kid. Yummy if you're a cat. Luau, I whispered. Go away, Michael's grandmother bit off the tail. Then she bumped Luau with her foot. Hey, I said, don't kick my cat. I grabbed for him, but he was speedy. In a flash, he had leaped to the bookcase next to the switch for the lights and music. Who have we here? Asked Professor Jensen. Isn't that your cat, Alex? Asked Professor Pop. I'm allergic, sniffed Mrs. Snyder. Sorry, sorry. Dad grabbed Luau off the bookcase and threw him over his shoulder. Proceed, John. Sorry. Everybody watched, even Luau, as Professor Jensen flipped the switch. Outside, the tourists cheered. The music began. On the first day of Christmas. Professor Pop shook his head. Oh, how I've grown to detest that song. Chapter 7. Friday, the goose and the partridge. Saturday, a calling bird. Sunday morning, a French hen. Someone was stealing the 12 days of Christmas. But who and why? I had just finished my Sunday breakfast, a bagel with cream cheese. Mom and I were sitting at the kitchen table. Luau was in my lap, purring like he was proud of himself. He was the one who had noticed the missing French hen at the Swansons that morning. He was starting to think he was some kind of ace detective. I was happy to leave the bird watching to Luau. I had a bigger problem. Russell's mouse party. It was supposed to start at 1, but now it might not even happen. That's because Mega Menagerie, where the party was supposed to be, had been burglarized. Someone had broken in between Thursday night and Friday morning. They stole money out of the cash register. They stole every single mouse in the store. Was it possible to have a mouse party with no mice? In case you haven't guessed, it was the Mega Menagerie robbery that kept Mom busy late Friday. She had worked yesterday too, looking all over the store for evidence like fingerprints or anything that the bad guy might have left. Boy, was Mrs. Miggins mad when I made her close her store on the Saturday before Christmas, Mom said. Doesn't she want you to find the criminal? Oh, probably, Mom said, but she might not think it is so important. Insurance pays her either way. I've heard of insurance, I said, but I don't really get it. Mom explained that most people pay money to an insurance company every month in case there is a disaster like a robbery or a fire. Usually nothing happens, so the company gets to keep the money. That's how it makes a profit. But if something does happen, the company has to pay. So the insurance will buy Mrs. Miggins new mice, I said. Right, said Mom. I thought for a minute. But it seems like there's a problem. For the insurance company, I mean. What's that, Mom said. What if somebody got tired of paying them? What if somebody pretended there had been a burglary so they could get a lot of money or a lot of mice? Mom reached over and messed my hair. You must be my kid, she said, because you are so darn smart. What you're describing is called an insurance scam. Somebody fakes a robbery to collect the insurance money. But insurance companies are pretty careful, and so are the police. We try hard to make sure nobody gets away with it. There was a newspaper on the table between me and Mom. The headline said, "Police are baffled." I looked at my mom. Are you baffled? Mom sipped from her mug of coffee. So far, she admitted, but we'll figure it out. Right now, what's hanging me up is motive. Why would anybody want those mice? I couldn't believe she had said that. Are you kidding? Every kid in America wants mice. Mom smiled. I know you like them, honey, but it wasn't a kid kind of job. What do you mean? I asked. When kids break in, they make a mess. Later, they brag to everyone they know. Eventually, you can pretty much count on someone calling to tip us off. Are you saying kids are stupid? I asked. Mom shook her head. Not stupid, but not professional thieves either. So this was a professional job? I asked. I don't know if it was or not, but it was clean. The thieves got in, grabbed what they wanted, and got out, she said. In fact, it was pretty remarkable. The door wasn't even damaged. All right, my friends, we will end there. Oh, there is more happening in College Springs, Pennsylvania than just some missing decorations for the 12 days of Christmas. Now there has been a big robbery of money and these mice that all the children love at Mega Menagerie. So we have two mysteries going on in one book. We have to find out who robbed Mega Menagerie. Was it really a robbery or was it insurance fraud? And who is stealing the 12 days of Christmas? The same people who are stealing the 12 days of Christmas. Are they the same people who robbed Mega Menagerie? We got to find out all this information, my friends. You know how Miss Hope loves a good mystery, okay? So, on our Marvelous Monday, we have to find out more about what is going on and if these two things are connected. So, unfortunately, and I had to keep looking at my timer because I was getting into the story. So, this one's good. This one is also good. And also getting, as my nephew David puts it, juicy. Okay. Well, my friends, we are at the end of Miss Hope's reading hour on this fabulous Friday. We are at day 4 of our 12 days of donations to Feeding America, which is organization number 4. So make sure that you look down in the ticker. If you don't get to see Miss Hope's reading hour live right now, I encourage you go back and watch it so that you can find out more about Feeding America. Please go to feedingamerica.org to donate. Right at the top of the first page of the website, there is a button to donate. So remember, every little bit helps. Help us to make hunger, going to bed hungry, going to bed not being secure with where your next meal, where your children's next meal, where your family's next meal is coming from. Let us give a little so that we can make sure that that is not anyone's normal. Okay? Well, have a good weekend, my friends. It has been so good to be here with you on our fabulous Friday. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday with organization number 5 of our 12 days of donations and some more great books on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Until then, my friends, have a great weekend, and I will see you next time